65.
And
1. We're on. You're on. And you're on. Go.
Welcome everybody here to the
Man.
Xbox Sports Live Show.
You test people and you try to see how good they are, if they can handle the pressure of my nonsense. And clearly you cannot, sir.
You're really in like a peppy mood, aren't you? You're poking the bear a little bit.
I'm always in a mood.
Yeah, you are. Welcome everybody here to the Xbox Sports Live Show. My name is Andrew Valentin. I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday. We're of course coming to you live for the last week, really, or second to last week here at Illinois Media School in Lombard, Illinois. And I hope everybody's having a great time, day or night. Hope it is just right. And with me is, of course, Mr. coming in with some heat today, Mr. Drew Gwillem himself, the hot man, doing his thing. Drew, how are you, man?
Just all kinds of nonsense from me, as usual.
It's fun nonsense,
yeah.
though. You know, it's nonsense that I mind because there's other nonsense.
I always like to say I'm an asshole, but I'm a fun asshole.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good way to put it.
And I'm equal across the board to everybody.
Yes, very true.
Equal shit to all.
Yes, and of course with us as well, ladies and gentlemen, the boys in the back. It's our boys, the original man of chaos and annoyance himself, Mr. Tom McKinney. And, of course, our man, TJ Knacker, in the back doing his thing as well. You guys doing all right back there?
Yeah, we doing good.
All right. Very good. Coming in with the mellowness. I like it. See, it's all right now, and then it'll go ramp up to like 1,000 later. That's what I'm afraid of. It's like a ticking time bomb.
As long as he raises his hand first, we're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's when he gets into his like teacher, like that whole thing. That's what a problem.
That's fine. I accept that because it's Tom. I expect that from him.
Yes, but when you're addressing the class president, you make sure to raise your hand.
One more, but when it says outburst without raising his hand.
Then you're going to the principal's office, young man.
Then we pull the scene from The Wedding Singer. And one more outburst from you, sir, and I'll strangle you with my microphone wire.
I forgot about that. That's pretty good.
That's
I like
excellent.
that. That's excellent.
I love it.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about today. It's just going to be a straightforward rundown, A to B kind of show. Is everybody ready to do this?
Are we going to go to C and D after?
We could. We very well could.
Okay.
All right, well then, folks, let's get this one started because we are kicking this one off with, yes, the Bulls. Why?
I don't know why.
Because for some reason, they seem to be back. It's hard to say. As of right now, the Bulls are actually in the very last spot, but they are in the play-in tournament right now in 10th place. They are 34-37. They are actually 6-4 in their last 10, and they came off of though still tight, a 109-105 win against the 76ers. Tonight they're playing Philly again, so
beat Philly with Embiid for the first time ever.
Yeah, 12-0 against them for Philly when Embiid's been playing, and finally they pull it off, and I would say pretty well. They did a pretty decent job. I think he still had a lot of points. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard to stop a man who I think is right there with MVP talks. Let's be honest.
I think at this point he's the guy.
You think he's the front runner?
I think he's the guy at this point.
Okay.
He's have how many 30+ point games in a row? It was like 9, 10, somewhere around there.
Philly's been the hottest team right now, so
I feel like he's pissed off he didn't get it last year.
yes, he was.
But Joker, I feel deserved it.
Absolutely.
Okay, this year I think it could go either way.
It's between those two, I think, right now.
But I think what Embiid's doing this year is above all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the Bulls were able to pull it out. They were able to make this win. Certainly some things kind of transpiring now for the Bulls, seeming to go on the right path. And obviously one of the big ones seems like the stars are starting to possibly align for the Bulls, as so far in the month of March, in particular. I mean, and it has been madness in March in all of basketball from college to the pros. But for the Bulls, for some reason, they seem to be doing pretty well. In the month of March, you've got LaVine averaging 31. You've got DeRozan averaging almost 28. You've got Vooch, who's averaging a double-double. This team right now, thus far for this month, has looked really good.
So far, the Patrick Beverly kicking the ass is working.
Absolutely. And that's where I come to you and ask you about, obviously, What are your thoughts for the Bulls thus far? Obviously, we know the Pat Beverly effect seems to be in play here. I like to say that they're living in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, wow.
So it's something seems
The
to
only
be,
Patrick on the team that's decent at basketball.
that is unfortunately very true. Patience has worn thin with Williams at this point, but in his own way, coming off the bench, he's done his own work, so good for him too. But overall, Drew, I
Sure.
mean, looking at the Bulls thus far in the month of March, and even after, before that, I mean, from where they were to where they are now, what are your thoughts for this team and how they've been able to kind of turn a corner, if you will, in some way? I know it's not a sharp turn, but let's say they've kind of turned a corner, if you will.
Same old Bulls.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna play really well at times, beat all the good teams, lose to the bad teams.
Yeah.
And then go through a stretch where we're very poor.
Mhm.
We look terrible. We look like we're should be in full tank mode.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you go through this stretch recently where you're just winning games.
Mhm.
When, okay, well, what does it really do for them?
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to be the 8th seed, or you're going to be in the play-in tournament, maybe win that, and then play the Bucks and lose in 4.
Yeah. I mean,
They're 4-game series. Okay, last year they won 1 game, and arguably that team played better last year than they have this year.
Mhm.
Maybe not. This stretch they're going through now has been pretty good.
Yeah.
But what is making the playoffs, making the play-in tournament, losing, or going on and being in the 8th seed and losing in the first round do for this team?
Right.
Because you're basically just running in place then. You have the same group of guys for the most part, the same kind of outcome at the end, and then no draft pick at all.
Mhm.
That's due to somewhat of a mismanagement,
Right.
I would say. But at the same time, you have the opportunity to be in the lottery and get up in that top section, whether the odds are low or not. It's happened before.
Absolutely.
So it's always a possibility. I'd rather have that possibility to get, oh my God, this is one of those years we have the frozen card or the D Rosier 1.7% chance or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and end up with a guy like that
That would be nice.
over making the playoffs, losing in the first round, not winning a game, and running in place.
Yeah. No, it's a legit question, and I know we've kind of talked about this pretty much at length throughout the year. The Bulls started off pretty. They started off decent. Then obviously everything kind of plateaued off, and it looked like they were going to be bad. Then they started winning some games, and it was up, down, up, down, up, down. And now they've won some games, and like people are like, "Oh, is there hope?" And I think no,
No, there's not. No.
I think as a legitimate fan, I think it's fair to say that there's that hope is a very hard word to use right now for the Bulls, because is there hope that they stay in the play-in tournament, make the playoffs? Sure. Like you said, though, is it worth it? Well, from a fan's perspective, obviously, it's like, no, there's no point in it. From the player's perspective, obviously, if we go that route, I'm sure they were like, well, we want to prove
course.
everybody everything. We want to make sure that they know we're winners. We don't want to go out losing. And I think we can understand that.
That's fine. You can go out the way you want to go out, playing hard, but at the same time, this team with the talent they have can
Mhm.
only go so far.
Absolutely. No, and there's no question about that. However, it is fair to say that this team right now has been playing, probably, I think people have said they've been playing like top 10 basketball as of late. Numbers, the analytics and everything, I don't have all the numbers in front of me, and frankly, I couldn't break them all down if I even tried. But according to what I've seen through Twitter and all the other reporters, the Bulls are playing top 10, maybe even top 5 basketball right now through the analytics. So if they continue this trend, and if they were to able to still win games out and win the play-in tournament, there's some that do believe that there's enough for the Bulls to use here to possibly make some sort of a statement in the playoffs, which, take that for what you will. I think it would be nice to see, because I think at least at that point you can say, okay, maybe there's something to the players that are already here, and maybe there is something to what management's looking to try and do. I don't know about Billy Donovan. Might even say something about his coaching. Who knows? But certainly I would Would you say that it's fair? Would you say it's fair to say that Patrick Beverley is the catalyst of this, or do you think that might be something else behind this?
I'm sure that's part of it. He brings a real presence to the court that they definitely didn't have. He brings toughness. He brings that I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want and piss everyone else off
Right.
type of voice to the Bulls, which I don't think they didn't have before.
Mm-hmm.
They've, for the most part, they don't have a guy that's gonna go get in someone's face,
Right.
no matter how big or small they are. That dude, Patrick Beverley, will.
Absolutely.
So I do believe it has a big part to why they are playing as well as they are.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think it's good enough. Like, when it comes to these championship level teams,
Yeah.
and you're going up against them in a 7-game series in the playoffs, you're not going to win. I don't care how I don't even know the word, how motivated or
Yes.
how motivated basketball you're playing. If you're not talented enough as the other team and they have multiple superstars on their team that are the reason they win championships, you're not going to beat those teams. You
Yeah.
may win a game and get lucky. They may, possibly even two. But we saw what happened last year with the Bucks. Okay, they didn't have Middleton for that whole series. Bulls lost in 5, 4-1.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's fair. That's fair. No, and that's totally fair. Is that
I'm trying to be realistic with what
Right.
they have and what this team is capable of doing and where this team is capable of going.
yeah.
And they're not. They're just not capable of making it to a finals and winning.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. I think, and look, it's not that we've lost faith in this team by any means. I'm not jumping ship yet by any means for this team, but certainly considering what happened last year and everybody's pretty much back from that same team to this year, other than a few others, it doesn't read the same. Now, there's an argument to be made, I think, by some that, well, what if Lonzo was still a part of this? And I mean, to ask that question, I think at this point now is a little asinine, because what's the point of asking that question? He hasn't been a part of the team now for 2 years, and now we know he won't probably be a part of it for another year, and that's going to be the end of his contract at that point. So, or
Right.
I think at least he'll have one more year
I
left
think
on
it's
his contract.
one more year
One more
after
year.
that.
And listen, for what we saw with him and the Bulls, they were number one in the East. They were cruising through teams. They were playing great basketball.
Yeah.
Who knows if it would have been any different had he still been healthy? Would they have adjusted? Would he have been able to adjust himself to make sure that they played a different style? Who knows, right? But now we know Lonzo, obviously, going underneath for his third surgery. It will be cartilage transplant surgery, which is a very rare surgery that is done not just in sports, but like in the head. In the surgery community in general, this is not something that is done very, very much. But
Right.
for athletes, very, very rare.
And nobody's been able to come back and play from this
no,
either.
the
so
percentage rate, I believe they
it's not
said was
looking
like
good.
Yeah, the percentage rate was like 0.1. I think it was like 12%. I want to say. I mean, there's a chance, but like, it's a lot of therapy, a lot of having to exercise it out, constant checkups on the doctor. Like, they're gonna have to moderate that entire situation out. So
It's too bad. He was playing probably the best basketball of his career when he went out. He was shooting 40+% from 3. His vision on the court was as good as it's ever been.
I believe he was averaging like a double-double when he went down. I would think he was 17 and 10 or something like that.
His defense was there,
Yeah.
especially because of his size at the position he played.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it would be it's the big turnaround, the catalyst for them to be a championship level team, having Lonzo Ball, but it definitely improves your team compared to what they've had.
Right.
He's been a true point guard for them. Like I said, vision unreal
Absolutely.
of those up court pass, those basically full court passes that are just perfect.
Playing some Patrick Mahomes out there.
Basically, yeah. He in charge of running the offense, getting the offense started, and getting his players going and finding the open guy, and he did just that.
Absolutely.
So it definitely hurts. It hurts this team not having him, I just don't see him being a part of the future. Need to make an insurance claim on him and see what kind of funds you can get back from that loss. So basically, him not being able to play for the team when you traded for him.
It's tough to hear this news, and obviously now you have to wonder what the Bulls do next, right? Because Io's got a contract coming up.
Yeah.
You know, you would think, okay, they re-sign him. Caruso's got, I think, 1 more year left on his deal, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe this might be it. I can't 100% be certain on that. Outside of those two guys right now, I mean, I don't know if Patrick Beverley's sticking around or not. He's on the 1-year contract. It'd be cool if he did. I think he'd be a great backup, but I think the Bulls at this point, you'd have to target a point guard. I mean, if you can target the number 2 overall pick for Scoot Henderson,
Could you imagine if
be
they
awesome.
Wouldn't it be awesome if they would have taken Halliburton instead of Patrick Williams, and then they'd have a point guard? Then they would have never have gone
Yeah.
after Lonzo Ball.
And that's the thing is, like, hindsight being 2020.
I know, right?
We all thought that. Well, you look at his play; they needed somebody down low, defend, and he looked like the guy. And obviously now it's
and still going back to when we were like, we got to have patience on this group and
Yeah.
see what they can do.
Mhm.
I stand by that. Just like with the Bears now, we need to have patience and see where Pace and this new group is going to take
Yeah.
the team. I stand by that.
sure.
Guess what? We've had enough patience now to see what they're doing and
Mhm.
what their plans are for this team, and I don't like where it's going.
No,
They're not going to get the pieces that they need. Their draft picks have been trash, and now they don't have any because they gave all of them up for a player who's not living up to that
yeah.
deal.
Yeah, and if they want them back now, there's a lot of talk that it would have to take cleaning house to essentially get back a
Right.
future that the Bulls could actually use.
Yeah.
And at this point now, I mean, I'm saying this as a fan too, so just take that for what it is. But as a fan sitting here, I would say, I mean, I think you'd have to look around and shop to see what you could get
Right.
for guys like Levine and DeRozan and Vooch, because it sounds like each one of them could bring back first-round picks. Levine could maybe bring you back 2. So.
But would you want AK and Eversley being the guys doing that part of it and making those picks after what they've shown us so far?
That's the
and their
biggest question right
and
now.
their history, like,
Yeah.
okay, AK, yeah, he found Joker, but who else?
Right.
Took a shot on Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
What
Jamal
else?
Murray, Joker, Michael Porter Jr. obviously, I guess he was somewhat interested in Aaron Gordon, so he kind of takes a little bit of credit for that. Like, okay, the interest stayed over after he left, but you're right. And when you look back at what he did with the Nuggets and then back with the Bulls, it's 3 players really. And at the Bulls' point right now, Simonovic is nowhere near closer. Io may be
No.
the only one that you can maybe say has a chance, but even right now, we're still looking at him as a bench player.
Yeah, exactly. He is a bench player.
Right.
He's not a starting player.
No,
And he's been starting for this team.
exactly.
For a lot of it.
Yeah, and for a guy that's 23 or now 24, I mean, and look, all the love to him because he does go out there and play his butt off.
That he does.
But unless he makes massive improvements here soon, he will likely stay on the bench for the majority of the time. And I don't know. I still believe that Eversley and Karnisovas can maybe do something because I think they're not dumb guys. I think they do have maybe more of a sense of new basketball than obviously Paxton and Gar Forman and John Paxton did. But at what they're showing right now, like you said, it's just not showing on the court, and that's a problem. And that's where
And you can,
I don't know.
You can almost argue that Gar and Pax put together better teams at times than what they're doing now.
it's kind of that's true.
And that's sad.
Yeah. It's considering how
Because
much
we
wanted them out.
begged to get rid of those two.
I
We
lost my
begged.
voice
We
over that.
prayed. We were hoping, like, wondering what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
Signing Boylan as your head coach.
Yeah.
Doing stupid things like that, but at the same time, they had Jimmy Butler at one point,
Mhm.
Derrick Rose, Joe Kimno, like all these guys
Yeah.
that they were pretty good teams.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now, like, while we still last year, this is a pretty good team. It's not a bad team.
Right.
It's just you're not doing what you need to do to fill out the rest. Your points of need. Where's the shooting?
Mhm.
When have they ever gone after shooting? Doesn't matter which regime it's been. Last one, this one, nobody wants to find the shooting.
Right. That's true. Well, our guy King BMAC says, I guess out of all the guys that I kind of mentioned for the trade, hey, BMAC, let me know if I'm wrong on this or not, but he says DeMar should be the odd man out. I like him, but his age and his game just don't fit. It's kind of true. I mean, I like his 2-point range and stuff, but he's not a 3-point shooter. And that's what the league is now, obviously. And you need some of those guys to be able to compete to some degree. You have to be able to hit those threes.
I'll argue, though, that DeRozan with a guy, obviously, the Bulls aren't going to have just get one of the greatest 3-point shooters of all time in Steph Curry, right? But if they both had a guy who could, even if they had Klay Thompson who could shoot better than, I feel
a consistent 3-point shooter.
Klay can shoot better than Zach at probably most of the time.
I'd probably say so.
Okay?
Yeah.
So having a guy like that who can actually make more threes and a guy like DeRozan who can do everything else he can and still get to the free throw line a ton, mid-range master,
yep,
and still score 30-plus points like nothing.
Yeah.
That's where I think you are filling out your team more. Okay, Zach is a player that he's a very good player, but I don't think he's the kind of guy you're going to win because of.
Right.
That guy's not going to go out there and take over a game, and you're going to win specifically because of what he did that night.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Our guy BMAC also said, too, the Bulls do have their first-round pick next year at least. I believe they'll be making trades on draft night as well as get back into this year's draft if they lose the pick to the Magic. I think that could absolutely happen, and I think that's something that they need to think about. Listen, I'm not saying the guy's going to be a definitive difference maker, but I've looked enough at the tape on guys like Victor Wembanyama, who I think is right now the out-of-range guy. The guy I think that's actually in their range might be Scoot, who might be the number 2 pick. You might say he's out of range. I feel like he's a guy that actually could be, because it now sounds like maybe Miller and these Thompson twins could maybe jump ahead of him. Who knows? But you're talking about a guy who's 6'6", 220, plays point guard, shooting guard, shoots 40% from 3, scoring 25, and he's averaging like 9 assists. If you're going to get as close to Lonzo Ball as you can, this guy is also built like a linebacker. So it'd be nice to have a guy like that at the point for sure.
More toughness for this team.
And it's a future. He's 19 years old. Like, that's totally the future you build around, right? Like, that's your guy.
How?
Yes.
How are they going to do that? How are they going to get to that point?
And that's the question.
All the way up there where every team wants to be.
Absolutely.
How? I don't see how.
They're going to have to make some huge, that's a huge sacrifice you're making. But if you think that sacrifice is worth it, I'm all for it. Until it doesn't, I'm all for it. We just want to see, as fans, we want to see the Bulls get back to competitiveness.
Yep.
And that's obviously going to be tough because they've got a last bit of the season left.
They're competitive.
Games. Yeah.
Just not.
Yeah.
just not where we want them to be.
Exactly. But they got a bunch of games left. They're starting off in Philly today. Then they have a road games against Portland, Lakers, and then the Clippers. Then they're playing at home against the Lakers. Then they're going to Charlotte. Then they're back home against Memphis. Then back home against Atlanta. And then on the road to Milwaukee and Dallas. And they finish it off in Detroit at home. So we don't have to go. We're not going through every single game here. But for your sites, Drew, of the games we see right now, do you think it's possible that the Bulls can pull this off for a winning season? Or do you think that there is a good chance that we'll see them possibly take some major losses here?
I feel like it's hard to say that they're just going to keep up what they've been doing and through the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They always go through nice little stretches where they're winning games and looking good. And then it's all of a sudden, oh, well, now we're getting tired.
Yeah.
We just played our ass off for this nice long stretch and we were winning some games. Now we're still trying to do that. It's the end of the season. Now we're getting tired.
Yeah.
I think history kind of tells us that it's not going to happen. Where they sit now, they're still where are they? 34 and 37. They're under 500 now. So I think to say that they're going to come out above 500 for the end of the season might be a little foolish.
Yeah. I think it can be done. I mean, should it be capable? Certainly. There's some teams in here like, look, Clippers just lost Paul George. Detroit's bad. Memphis, who knows where they're at. I mean, Atlanta is probably in dismantling points at this point, and I think the Lakers are kind of up and down, but LeBron's probably not even going to be back by the end of the season. So I think they've got a good shot to be able to win the season. I'm not saying win out, but win the rest of the season and be able to get themselves above 500. Is that the right move to make? That's up for you to, I think, debate with yourself. But
I'm going to go with no.
Yeah.
I'd rather, at this point, I stated why.
Yeah,
I know.
Stay within that lottery pick.
They're not winning a championship with the team they have now.
Right.
It's not. They're not deep enough. They don't have a good enough bench.
Yeah.
They don't have a good enough starting lineup.
Yes.
They don't have players that one guy who every single night's going to go out and that dude's going to be the guy that they win because of.
Absolutely. And I guess only now we've got 11 games to see if the Bulls can actually pull this off or not and see where they end up. And then it's a whole off season of ifs, buts, maybes, question marks, and so on and so forth. Who knows what the Bulls will do, but we'll keep following them as we love them. God help us, we love them.
Sure do.
But
got him on my arm.
It's true. You repping them.
It's Big Bull.
Repping the Bulls hard, baby. But all right, let's get off of the Bulls and let's get to some fan questions here, folks. So obviously, we've had a bunch of fan questions for a while now. I've been hanging on to some more recent ones I put up here. We don't have to go very long on these. I know not everybody's going to have all these opinions on them and stuff, but I thought these were pretty good ones. So obviously, if you have any questions, xvsportsofficial@gmail.com. We want to hear from you guys. So this first question, this comes from Michael. He's actually a fan of ours in New York City, New York.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
All the way from the Big Apple, huh?
Yes. He let us know that he is a Yankees fan, so
well,
we can all be winners.
Better than being a Sox fan.
Yeah, well, you know what?
There's my shot.
I'm not very happy with it right now. I'm glad Tim's though having fun with baseball.
Well, at least the Yankees aren't losing any players playing in the WBC.
Whoa.
What did I tell you about your outburst?
Whoa.
Yeah.
No.
There we go.
No.
You gotta get him started.
Good for one.
Yeah.
I've been quiet.
What are you mad about now,
Oh,
Tom?
jeez.
No, we're gonna answer this fan question first. We'll get to the next one.
question coming up here soon. All right. So,
excellent.
he was talking about, obviously, if you don't know, Bally Sports has filed for Chapter 6 bankruptcy. They are going out of business. So now, and this is all really a giant thing because they're not the only one, but Sinclair Media, who I think is the owner of them or trying to buy them or something like that, all of these media companies now are looking at the regional sports network starting to die off because obviously streaming is starting to take over. And he asked us the question, he said, do you think regional sports networks can be saved, or do you think this is the end of them as we know it? And here in Chicago, obviously, we have one, Marquee Sports Network for the Cubs. Obviously, I think right now, they seem to be in a pretty decent position, but the numbers have since been dropping. There's been a lot of talk of, is Marquee going to be one of those that possibly gets hit by this? So, I mean, Drew, from your perspective, not just with Marquee, but like all regional sports networks with streaming services growing and everything, what are your thoughts for the dying off of obviously these regional networks now?
As long as I can watch the games, I don't care where it comes from. As long as I'm able to watch the games that I want to see, and I'm willing to pay for it to watch it, I should be able to watch it whatever the hell I want.
Okay.
And the fact that you get some that are, we're blacked out.
Yeah.
Well, this game's blacked out.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have enough, viewership or whatever the reasons for.
Yeah.
No wonder. No wonder people don't want that. They want to be able to pay to watch their games, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Tom, you in the back.
Yeah, so here's my issue with all of this.
Okay.
Is they're not on these streaming services. They're not on Hulu. They're not on YouTube TV. They're not on whatever other streaming service, Tubi or whatever it is.
Right.
And that's the big issue. People are cutting the cord.
Yeah.
Start putting this stuff on YouTube TV. Start putting your stuff on Hulu. And then you don't have this problem. And Bally doesn't have to file for bankruptcy. And we don't have to be losing games right before baseball season. NHL fans have been seeing this for years because they've always blacked out games. When I was down in Southern Illinois in Carbondale at school, I could not watch Blackhawks games when I paid for NHL.TV because I was still in the Blackhawks market, which
That's
makes
insane.
absolutely no sense to me
Yeah.
because that is Cardinals territory. That is Blues territory.
Yeah.
I am 6 hours away from the city. How am I in Blackhawks country? None of it makes sense. Their blackouts make no sense whatsoever. They ruin the sports. Colorado's been dealing with this with the Avalanche for years, and it's talked about all the time that they've missed playoff games and stuff like that because their regional stuff isn't being broadcasted because they're in negotiations. Screw the negotiations. You're only hurting yourself and you're hurting fans, and fans are leaving these sports because they don't care anymore. They're like, well, I can't watch it on TV. I'm not spending $1 billion to go to a game to spend $1 billion at that game. So I'm done with sports. And this is what's going to cause the fall of sports.
I mean,
Sports will never die.
I don't know if they'll call it the fall of sports, but I will agree with you that obviously you're going to see a lot of fans start to drop off a little bit and start to go to maybe, I'm not saying they're going to go to other teams, but you're going to see them possibly go to other sports or stuff like that. Like there's already been shifts because obviously, look, the NFL is on everything, right? They've got this whole thing kind of covered up for themselves. The NBA is starting to do that. Major League Baseball and the NHL, because of it's so regional in those sports, it has that problem of the regional sports networks always having the attachment to them. The hope is, I think, that's like MLB on TV has to use the rights to Bally Sports, who have the connections with those teams. You can kind of see a little bit of a map of how it's like all mapped out there for these teams and stuff. So now MLB probably needs to go out there and buy those rights from those teams like as quickly as possible, because if you lose them, I mean, your MLB on TV could possibly go out. Like that could happen. Like you don't have that product. I mean, that can be an issue for you if you don't have those teams out there. And yeah, for the NHL, I mean, they've used regional sports networks to actually take the playoffs in the first round. What, the first or second round, I think it was, right, Tom?
It's always the first round. The regional sports teams have their games. The games are nationally broadcast, but like if you're in Chicago, you're going to watch the Blackhawks with Pat Foley, Eddie Olczyk, and whoever they got now.
Absolutely. Yeah, but that's the thing is like that makes it more, and that's where the NHL, I think, and I'm not trying to disrespect them or anything. It's just it's part of the system that's been set up, unfortunately, for them, which is where hopefully someone will step in at some point and change this, and it'll have to happen quick because otherwise there could be a big issue with the NHL if they don't get a huge TV deal, which luckily the ESPN thing I think is helping carry them a little bit.
No, it's not ESPN, it's TNT.
Or
ESPN,
TNT, yes, the TNT.
ESPN has the worst hockey coverage I've ever seen. It is so bad.
I think they put a lot of their eggs into that NBA basket, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. But listen, I don't think the regional sports network is necessarily going to die. I think it will transform, right?
Evolve.
It
must.
Will. Yes. Trying to go into more of the streaming, like they'll become the house for streaming platforms, right? The Hulus and the Yahoos or, Netflix or whoever jumps in on those boats, right? Like Amazon, like that, that's, I think, what they'll become. I mean, I don't have the full mindset of regional sports networks to note, but.
Well, let me put it to you this way. CBS is with Paramount Plus right now.
Right.
And they are broadcasting the Champions League on Paramount Plus. They are broadcasting the NBA or the NCAA March Madness
Did you
tournament.
bring up soccer?
Well, this is a big thing.
I mean, they do have it, and that brings in a ton of money. For
It
them.
brings in a lot of money. But this is the other thing, is that they put the NFL on Paramount Plus. They don't
care about soccer.
All right. You don't care. But they put the NFL games on Sunday on Paramount Plus. So if you don't have cable, but you have Paramount Plus, you can still watch those CBS games. They have March Madness going on Paramount Plus. They're doing, I hate their platform. It's not set up right, but at least they have that live access to those sports that most people might not have in certain regions because of this issue right here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, it's obviously a concerning situation for a lot of teams out there. Who knows?
Yeah.
And that's the problem is who knows how this is going to transpire. Is it going to be dead? I mean, is it going to be able to continue to exist? I like it, like you said, and I just said, like, I think it has to evolve. I think it just has to. And either way, like, yes, if I'm able to get my sports that I want to watch, I mean, is it really going to bother me? No, but at the end of the day, it obviously can be something that can send a shockwave through a sport, right? The NHL, MLB certainly are going to be heavily affected by this, And who knows? It could. I mean, the NBA and the NFL, I think, are just too big at this point. But to other sports like the ML, I mean, I know you said you care about soccer, but like the MLS and
I don't.
the PLL, yeah, and other sports out there.
MLS is on Apple TV.
Yeah, that's right. They have the Apple TV, which is good. I mean, that's their strong net, but there's some that I think still have connections to regional.
What is it? Is it the Sunday Ticket that's going to YouTube?
Yes. Yeah.
YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
So
There's another example. Amazon has the Thursday night game.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Which you guys gotta fix that. Now Michaels is getting mad. But
so what does he got to be mad about? How much money is he making to do one game a week?
Right, seriously.
Come on. If you want to step out, I'll take your paycheck for the game. I'll do it for you.
I'll do it for half, man.
I'll be probably more awake the whole game too.
True. Very true. Michael,
do you believe in miracles? Yeah, if Al Michaels could stay awake for a game.
That was really good. I like that. That was very good.
Thank you.
Michael, thank you so much for the question, man. We appreciate it. And our last question for the day, we had a few others, but I'm just going to stick with these two. There's some other ones that are nice and cute, but I'll save them maybe for tomorrow. We'll see.
Does that have anything to do with mustard, mayo,
no, nothing,
honey,
nothing like that. They're
condiments
in
at
there.
all?
Not
they're
yet.
in there, but I'm not. We're not.
Tom, read some.
Next week.
Okay.
Maybe we'll read them out next week. I
Yeah.
might bring a few.
I just want the world to know how sick some of you people are.
Some of you are just. We love you as fans.
Yeah.
But like, you take hot dog versus taco to like a whole new level. with
Let's
this kind
go.
I know.
You've
Yeah.
got it
Yeah.
started.
Absolutely. I'm still waiting for. Well, somebody emailed us. They're like, I'm gonna start a Reddit board. Haven't seen it yet, but if you do, please let us know so we can have that debate go down. Absolutely. All right.
So some of us can have that
yes.
debate.
Yeah, I know you're like, I'm not getting anywhere near that.
I'm way out on that debate.
Yes. Yes. But all right, our last question. This comes from Anthony in Waukegan. Thank you again, Anthony, for the question. He is a huge baseball fan. He's a Cubs fan, and he's been really happy with watching the World Baseball Classic. And he asked us the question about, is this the best World Baseball Classic we've seen? And he also asked the second part to this, which was, do we think that the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, is helping baseball, or because of the injuries now that we've kind of seen, do you think it's possible that it's even hurting in a quite literal way the game of baseball itself? So, Drew, I mean, for you, what do you think for the World Baseball Classic?
I think hearing from the guys like who was once the face of the Major League Baseball and Mike Trout, and hearing him say like, this is bigger than anything I've ever played in.
Yeah.
Like hearing guys like Shohei Ohtani when he was younger have this goal to win World Baseball Classic, and these goals that he had when he was younger, and he's accomplished them now. Like, and that meaning so much to these players. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for them to be able to play. So for certain teams to frown upon it or be like, I get it. They have a big investment in these players.
Yeah.
They're paying them tons of money to go play baseball for their team and win a World Series. Well, in the eyes of some of these players, winning this World Baseball Classic and playing this means more to them than winning that World Series,
Right.
or getting to that point.
Yeah.
So I think it's to each their own. If you want to be out there playing, I can understand the viewpoint of certain players why they shouldn't. Hey, you haven't made that big contract yet. Maybe you shouldn't, because if you get hurt in this without getting to the point of making your first big contract, you may never get there.
Yeah.
Depending on the kind or type of injury you have. So I can understand why some wouldn't, but I definitely see why a lot of them love it and why a lot of them are there. And it's cool to see all these, like, a lot of these all-star type players playing together on a team for your country.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think this is. I always say I think the World Baseball Classic isn't even really about the stars. I know they're kind of what helps sell it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think the most interesting thing is always to see the guys that are no-namers that can come out and ultimately shine on the stage, right? Team Japan's loaded with talent. And a lot of those guys now know that the world just watched you, which means those baseball teams just watch you, which means contracts are coming.
Didn't somebody already get signed to a major league team?
We saw the 21-year-old Hubert from Nicaragua strike out Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, and Rafael Devers in that order. Minutes after the game, manager's got a phone call, hands it over to Hubert. He's got a contract from the Detroit Tigers, which is awesome. I know it's Detroit. Yeah, not a good team. But still, exactly. That's awesome for the dude to be able to get that deal. And I think
all because of the World Baseball Classic.
Exactly. So, and I understand the injuries. Oh, it happens. Like Edwin Diaz. Yes, I know he hurt himself celebrating. That sucks. The Mets are not very happy about it. But you have these contracts with certain stipulations in there for a reason. And it is all about being able to have the insurance policies for if you get hurt doing it, then okay, we can recoup the money. You will still get paid in your own way, but we can recoup whatever was left on your contract. Don't worry, you'll be back next year.
Players can get hurt in spring training as well.
Yeah, they get hurt all the time.
I understand they're not going to be celebrating like that in spring training, but
dudes have gotten hurt playing basketball before or anything like that. Tom, yes, you.
First off, to go back to you're not going to get hurt celebrating, the Mets last year celebrated a spring training game like that.
Yes.
So there's that. Second off, Mets fans are the worst fans out there right now. They're god-awful to listen to. They're god-awful to listen to.
I don't know about that.
But to go back to that, like Brandon Nimmo came out and said he's like, I'd rather be playing for my team. They pay me this money, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
I'd rather not take the risk of getting injured.
Sure.
What happened the next day? Slid into second base, hurt himself. I think he's out 3 to 4 months. So, like you said, Drew, injuries can happen no matter what. The injury, I don't think it was an injury. They said it was concussion, but came back and said it wasn't the Johan Moncada collision.
rib injury.
They said it was just bruises. So that could have happened in spring training. I don't know why fans are complaining. This is only going to help grow the game in countries like Italy and Great Britain and Canada and all these other countries, especially overseas, where it's only Japan and it's only China that are big. It's not.
How huge is baseball in Japan now?
Well, baseball's always been huge in Japan.
They broke records against Korea. 65 million people watched around between Korea and Japan.
I feel like it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
We look at the Czech team. That's a perfect example right here. Those guys. I mean, the head coach is a neurosurgeon, I think he was.
Yeah.
Their catcher was a firefighter, and
was that the one where Andrej, who's the pitcher, I think he was a part-time electrician.
Yeah,
he struck out Shohei Ohtani, and Ohtani's like, "Give me your jersey and have everyone on your team sign it."
Yes, like
that's really cool. Like, and that puts the guys on the world stage. And
now those kids in those countries are gonna go, I want to play baseball.
Yeah.
I want to strike out Shohei Ohtani or the next Shohei Ohtani or the next Mike Trout. And all of a sudden, 2026 comes around. We're gonna see these kids from actually those countries, because here's the problem right now with the WBC is if your grandparents or your great grandparents or whatever came from those countries, like I could play for Great Britain because I have that descendant of Scotland in me. Andrew can play for Puerto Rico.
I can play for 3 different teams. I can play for Poland, Puerto Rico, or the United States. So I can play for all 3.
I could play. That's their problem right now.
It's a nice little hodgepodge.
I know, right? It's not, I like it.
Is you're getting a lot of Americans going to these other countries and playing. That's not. I mean, it's not a big issue. You're expanding the MLB out to other parts of the world, which is what you want. But at the same time, you want to start growing that homegrown talent in Italy and the Netherlands and Israel and all that. And once you can do that, baseball will be stronger. And that's what the NBA is now trying to get back to doing. It's not going so well because they're starting in a bad part. But the NHL is doing the same thing. They have their games over in Europe. They play in Prague. They play in all these other countries to start the season. And they're trying to expand the game into Japan and in those Asian countries. That's what we need to start doing to build the game. The game here is big enough. It's not going to affect us. I get it.
It's got to get to the global stage, because look at the NFL. The NFL is now going to 3 different countries?
Yes, and that's a perfect example. Once we can grow the game, our leagues are going to rule the world, and that's what these leagues need to do.
I mean, it's going to be hard to beat soccer and cricket. Like, those are the 2 top sports. Beating them out, like, I'm sorry, over 6 billion people watch those sports. I don't think we're winning that one, but no, you're absolutely correct. I'm okay with the stars, though, that go to other countries. Like, I understand what you're saying, like, build that homegrown talent, but I think establishing those guys there as well is like, oh, like Rizzo plays for Italy, right? Like, oh my God, Rizzo's playing for Team Italy. Oh, I want to play baseball too. And that gets those guys in there, right? Because you see those stars and you go, oh my God, he plays in the major leagues. He's a known player. Like, I think that helps too. So I hear what you're saying though. Absolutely. Like, bringing that homegrown talent in is absolutely going to help build the game up for sure. So I will say, I think this World Baseball Classic especially has really helped to up the value of baseball as a whole, right? We've seen the rules, I think, are helping it. I know people are still a little iffy on it, but I think the rules are helping it. I think this Baseball Classic has helped it. And I'm very excited to see what this year is going to look like for baseball. I mean, it'll probably be a little rough at the beginning, but I think once we get into like the meat and potatoes of it, I think you're going to see some really good games getting played.
Hey, could you imagine if Trout and Shohei Ohtani played on the same team? How good that team would actually be.
I mean, let me just say this real quick too. It's very awesome to see that the last out of that game came down to two teammates battling it out. Best pitcher, one of the best hitters.
And just went after him.
You can't write that's right. That's Tim Anderson hitting the home run to win the game in the Field of Dreams. This is right there with it. That's a huge moment. That is love it. Absolutely love it. I think this was maybe the best World Baseball Classic I've seen. So
well, it's been 6 years since the last one, so
that's true. Yes, it's been a long time.
A big gap before.
That's true.
We got to see another one.
That's true. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know about all of this stuff. What'd you think of the Bulls? What'd you think of the World Baseball Classic? What do you think about Regional Sports Network? Our boy King BMAC 2 also said, real quick, just for you, Tom, Cardinals fans are pretty cringe. That's true.
Yeah.
They are pretty.
Go eat some toasted ravioli and put your jean shorts on, you nerds. Oh.
Man, you're coming with some real stingers there, man. You're on your game today.
Because I'm a Cubs fan.
Yes, you are. You really are. Well, luckily I got TJ here to back me up. So it'll be a fun season, though, for both teams. I can't wait. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our show. And it's been a fun one. I hope you guys really did enjoy this. I'm, of course, up here with this beautiful man himself, Mr. Drew Gwillem, who's just on fire today. El Fuego.
Yeah.
But Drew,
it'll happen.
It's true. It's always a pleasure to have you here, man. I'm always glad.
Always
to have you
fun
here.
to be here.
Absolutely. Well, please let the people know where they can find you, listen to you, all that good stuff, amigo.
You can check me out right here Wednesdays and Thursdays when things work out the way they're supposed to.
Yes.
And you can check me out on Instagram at d.gwill25 and Facebook at Drew Gwillem.
Absolutely, guys. Make sure to go give him some like, give him some love.
Did you see the ass in back?
I don't even know what to say to that.
He is a haircut. The white man with the haircut of a donkey. Oh.
Oh boy. You guys can.
Okay.
You guys can find Tom McKinney at McLovin619.
I know it's a horse, but
yeah, I know it still works.
It's still fun to call him an ass.
Make sure to follow him there as well. You guys can also find our boy TJ Knacker at Knack300 as well, and also can find him at Unpack with the Knack, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Sorry, the mask is throwing me off. I'm sorry.
That's twice today.
I know.
The open and
Jeez.
now the close. You know,
getting me, man. Yes.
Mess with the man. Try and keep it together.
Make sure to go follow our boy Unpack with the Knack, our man TJ Knacker there. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow me, I'm at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram. I'm at Fluffy Guru on Twitter. If you want to see any more of us, we are streaming on Facebook. We haven't been kicked off yet, so if you want to find us more, we're at facebook.com/xbombsports. We are also on Twitch and on YouTube at xbombsports and twitch.tv/xbombsports as well. So make sure to go hit us up there. You can find us on social media at xbombsports on Instagram and on Twitter. And if you have any questions or comments as well, of course, thanks you again to Anthony and to Michael, xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. Now, podcast stuff, Blow the Whistle Radio Side, Sports Now Chicago, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday. It will be me and David most likely going. We'll see if we can get Tyler in here. He's busy with his job. We'll also be doing the TV side Tuesday. We've got our last show for Blow the Whistle here in the new studio at 3 p.m., so be here on Tuesday. And then, obviously, on Wednesday, we got before X-Bomb Sports. You saw it today. It's Unpack with the Knack. We got our boy TJ Knacker unpacking some cards. We had a lot of balls on the table today, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're interested in one, we have more than enough for you to be able to take. By all means, you can find out on Wednesday at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That's right. You're not the only one that can make these jokes. Also, too, check out.
Ooh, I hope you cleaned up.
Yeah, well,
Did you
we-
disinfect?
well, we put them on a nice little, piece. We laid them out real nicely on a nice little cover.
Oh.
So it's okay. The table was protected.
Okay.
But they were laying out all over the place. Balls just everywhere. You can check out our boy Brandon Januska.
To each their own.
He is still at 94.3 WMKR. He will be the voice for the Southland Vikings of the for the Northern League that you can find over the summer. We'll get the details from our boy Brandon Januska very soon, so you guys can follow him on that. Congratulations again, Brandon Januska. And you also follow his podcast. He'll be back on it soon. Baseball Banter with Brandon on Spotify. And while you're on Spotify, check out Money Motivation with Hannah B. It's our very own Hannah Brummer, who has been a very busy woman because she is now on 102.3 XLC doing the afternoon drive. She's also doing 96.7 The Star with Eddie Volkman in the morning.
Now
and
she's in the afternoon.
now they're in the afternoon
Now, yeah.
on 102.3, 96.7, and I believe it is 101.3 or 101.5. I think it is. I'm sorry, Hannah. I forgot. But she is completely syndicated with Eddie Volkman. They're doing their show across all three. So if you want to listen to her, you can catch her on all of those. Hannah, congratulations. We on behalf of all of us, congratulations on your success. We really mean it. If we don't see you Friday, we love you. We appreciate you and everything that you've done for us and helped us with. So thank you and congratulations again. And also, too, real quick as well, you've got our boys at The Parlay. That's at theparlay.com. It's our boys Tony Lopez and Kendall Gill talking about boxing. They've had some great interviews, guys. Go check them out. And any tips or tricks that you need for your fantasy football needs, check out the Fake Football Guys on YouTube and hit them up also at AskFFG on Twitter as well for any questions that you have, too. And we'll be back hopefully on the next season as well. And that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. And as always, much love. Peace out, Boom Crew.